so I'm here to give you some tips with my friend, my dog friend, about what you might do before you start a word level reading intervention with kids maybe grade 1 to 3 or 4 who are struggling. And what I suggest that you start with is a really solid informal criterion referenced assessment of what they know and don't know. Because if you're going to start teaching them, you need to know what they know. So the parts that I really suggest that you're assessing, one is their knowledge of the most common sight words. So I'll put a link to the list of the 100 most common sight words. There's lots of fun ways to assess their knowledge of this, but the basic way is to just, give them a few cards on the table, write them on flashcards, and have them identify words that they know. So you should be able to say, Johnny knows these 50 sight words and he doesn't know these 50 sight words. It should be that concrete for yourself and also for you to give that information to parents or teachers about what sight words to practice next. Next piece you want to know is what letter sounds the child already knows. So if you want a more structured way to look at that, there's something called the Informal Phonics Inventory that I will put the link to that you can use. And that will tell you, help you know what consonant sounds, what short vowel sounds, which are very important, the child knows, what consonant digraphs, so ch, sh, th, and then some of the other long vowel digraphs as well, I believe might be in there, like A or O. So you're going to find out what letter sounds does the child really know. For lots of struggling readers, the buck usually stops at consonants and the more common consonants. Some kids may know a few consonant digraphs like ch or sh. The vast majority will not know their short vowels or their long vowels unless they've been explicitly taught somewhat already. But you need to know exactly which ones they do know and which ones they kind of are hazy on or don't know. So you've got your sight words, you've got your phonics. You want to assess what onsets and rhymes they know and don't know. So there's a very handy list of the 37 most common rhymes, and that means the same thing as the most common word families by Wiley and Durrell, which I'll also put the links below. So a simple way to assess this is to write out those rhyme patterns on cards, on stars, on whatever the child's interested in, and then just ask them to see which ones they know. And you could even write the ones they know on a special sheet or post the ones they know around the room, and then you're going to introduce more through your intervention. The next really important thing to know clearly before you go into the reading intervention is what grade level is the child reading at. This is extraordinarily important for you to pick appropriate text for the child. And kids, especially once you start getting into grade 2 or 3, they are usually reading a little bit. Often their reading level is at a grade 1 or kindergarten level in terms of the words they can actually read on the page. So you need to know that so that you can pick texts that are at their interest level, but that the word difficulty is not too hard. And there's a very handy tool to help you do that called the Scholastic Book Wizard, where you can actually search for books by reading level and by interest level. So you could find books that are at an interest level of a grade 5 student, but the word difficulty is at a grade 2 level. So to be able to find those appropriate books, you need to be able to assess what grade level your student is reading at. So if you have some standardized testing done, you can figure that out. The child may also have had some assessment done at the school, for example, the DRA or Fountas and Pinnell, and that will give you a level, and I'll give you a level conversion sheet below, which will tell you approximately the grade levels for the different systems or reading recovery. They all use different leveling systems. A simple system for you to use informally is called the Burns Row Reading Inventory. So the way that works, and I use the simple list method, is they have a bunch of lists at different grade levels. And you start easy and the child starts reading through these lists of words until they get to the list where they can't read several words. I can't remember the exact number. And then that's their grade level, reading level. So that can really help you sort of get a rough estimate of the child's reading level if you don't already have that information. And then the final assessment tool that I find really helpful is what does the child's spelling look like, particularly in terms of sounds and spelling patterns that they know. So a really helpful tool to assess that is the Words Their Way Informal Spelling Inventories. And those explicitly break down this list of spelling words that is created based on the letter sounds and the patterns that are in that list. So they start out with consonants and short vowels, and then they start including digraphs and long E's and inflected endings, and it kind of gets harder and harder. And it has an analysis page that lets you look at what the child knows and doesn't know. So I find that inventory extraordinarily helpful to give you a starting point for what the child knows and doesn't know in terms of spelling. A lot of these different reading assessments, I just want to point out, don't involve the child reading text or books, because when the child's reading books, they can use other sources of information or other strategies to help them with the words. So it makes it hard for you to know what they actually know in isolation. So all of these kinds of assessment methods are looking at individual words out of context or individual letter sounds, so that the child's, let's say, ability to predict or their vocabulary isn't complicating your assessment. So you should have a benchmark of what sight words does the kid know, not know? What letter sounds does the kid know, not know? What rhymes does the kid know, not know? What grade level is this child reading at? And what kind of spelling patterns this child's using? And if you have that information, you have a fantastic starting assessment of where the kid's at, and you can track progress much more effectively, because you can say, before they only knew this many letter sounds, now they know this many. Before they knew these sight words, now they know these ones. So it really helps you to progress monitor. So that's how you start off. Start off with your assessment, and then I will show you in step 2 how to plan for some phonics intervention.